I'll pick up Laodicea. Interesting, Laodicea. We're going through Revelation in one of our other studies, so it's interesting that came up, that Jay used one of those cities. But Laodicea was, remember in Revelation, Laodicea is talked about as not a very inspiring place. They were not hot and they were not cold, they were lukewarm. And Jesus said, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth because you make me sick. But you think you know something and you're far from it. Now, were they Christians? I don't know, maybe they were. But Jesus didn't have so much good to say about them. But the interesting part about it is they have found Laodicea. And it was a pretty big place, and there was some churches there along with some synagogues as well. So Laodicea apparently was a Jewish destination as well, because there's synagogues there and there's churches there. And one particular inscription that has, it's called that's a heck of a word, Nymphaeum? Nymphaeum? Anyway, yeah.
Nymphaeum?
Yeah.
Nymphaeum, something like that.
Yeah, Nymphaeum.
Water fountain.
Yeah, so anyway, on this thing, there's some Jewish symbols, a menorah. I don't know the other two. The shofar, I know that one's the horn that they blow, but the lulav, not sure what that is. But anyway, they're Jewish symbols, but also they're overlaid with early Byzantine Christian cross. So it's showing that the Jews and the Christians were around in that city, and that also there was churches that were set there. Apparently, 20 early Christian chapels were in Laodicea, this town that, the thing we find out about them is that they're not doing very well. But they did have churches there, and this Laodicea is well documented as existing from the first century. But also, it is interesting, I found that there's something also mentioning this guy named Vespasian. He was a Roman Caesar, Roman ruler. And Vespasian is on one of the gates. His name is mentioned on one of the gates as well. An interesting thing about Vespasian, as I found out, his son was Titus. Titus is the guy that destroyed Rome. Excuse me, not Rome. Jerusalem. Titus came in. He was the one that actually destroyed Jerusalem in 70 A.D. And Vespasian is mentioned here, and this document is figured to be around 79 A.D. when Vespasian is mentioned. So again, it's early attestation as to not only that Laodicea was a real city in present day Turkey, but also mentions Vespasian, which was a Roman ruler, and the fact that his son was around as well. So a lot of documentation here for the Bible's depiction of the area at that time. And like I said, there's also in Laodicea, they also had a council of Laodicea, I found out. And they did do this guys, maybe they got a little better, or some of the remnant did this. But the council of Laodicea they had a meeting in Laodicea of the churches in the area. And apparently maybe looks like 60, or let's see, some of the surrounding church fathers gathered in that place. I thought they said how many there were, but anyway, I don't see that now. Anyway, they came up with some of the canons of the Bible. They were talking about, which ones are in. And surprisingly enough, if it was in Laodicea, which canon of the scriptures do you figure they left out? Revelation, because Revelation is not talking very nicely about Laodicea.
How fun!
Yeah, but anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, I look at that 20 churches thing. It could be that they took Jesus's word to heart.
Yeah.
And, a mid-course correction could have occurred in Laodicea.
Yes. Could be, and that would be great if it did, because, that's what God wanted. And he did mention that there were some people in Laodicea that still were his. He still had a remnant there. So when we brought it up in Charlie's study, we were talking about Laodicea, and the idea was that God was trying to get them to turn around, saying, come on, guys, come on back to where you're supposed to be. There are those there that know the Bible and know where you're supposed to be, and I want you to get back there, because God isn't into just condemning folks right off the bat. Thank him, he's not like that. But he will tell you what's going on, and he will tell you what's up. And I think that again, I'll get back to that. Just me, I do think he wants us to tell people the truth as well when they're asking about questions, for us to be able to have an answer that is going to help them out with whatever difficulty they might have. Um,